Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Continental Club. Today, we're talking about exporting, saving our designs, working with a USB Wi-Fi cable. So let me get the camera on and give you a proper hello. Hi, everyone. So welcome to the Continental Club. I'm Ann Hine, Embroidery Software Specialist for Janome America. And today we are talking about exporting and saving, maybe kind of what the difference is. It's almost the same, really. It's just, how you think about those words. And then we're going to show a little bit on the screen of your machine, how you find things in the machine. So I'm standing in a different spot today in my studio. I've had my Christmas stuff up over on the other side. So my CM17 is over here. So I thought I would switch over to this side to make things a little easier. So anyways, I want to talk about saving designs and exporting designs. And for me, when I'm going to have it take a design or send a design to my machine or to a USB stick or through the cable, to me, that's exporting. Okay, I want to export it. When I'm creating something, even if it's a JEF file and I add other JEF files in there, and I add lettering and all of that, and I want to save that to use it another time, I'm going to use the save function, which is File, Save As. Okay, and then I'm going to show you the difference in, if you have something open on your screen, if it is a JEF file or a draw file. When you create from scratch, when you make all the elements yourself that are not embroidery files already, those can be saved as a .draw file, which is the automatic way to do it. So I'm going to go over to the software so this makes a little more sense when you see it in the software. All right, so let me get that up here. Let's see here, go here. There we go. All right, so here we are with my software, and I do have three things open up here. I always have my CM17 chosen here. This is my default and my default hoop. So I'm going to open this first one, and I opened this this letter. This is from a font package that I purchased. So it already, you can see over here, it's already a JEF file because it says raw over here. It's already an embroidery file. And so I'm going to make a change to this, and then I'm going to save it. So I'm going to select it. Actually, I'm going to select, what I'm going to try to do is I want to select just the white part. So I'm going to right click, select by color, and then I'm going to click on the bucket and pick red here, and then just click on this little square. And now parts of my design will be red and some of it will be saved as gray. Now I don't want to take this to my machine just yet. I want to save this because I'm going to use it later, but I do want to put it in a smaller hoop. So I'm going to come up here to my machine icon. All my choices are up here, which are great. Here's change. And then I can just pick another hoop and I'm ready to go. I want to click on select. So I turn off my hoop. And now I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm not ready to use it yet. I'm going to save it in my files. So I'm going to use the option at the very top on my screen, which you guys can't see, but it would be right along here on your computer. I'm going to use the file, or I could use the save button right here. So if I click the save, it opens up my Explorer. So even on yours, if you have a PC, it will open up your Windows Explorer with all your folders. And basically, it's similar folders on the left here. And then I have folders within folders here. And then there's my design up there. And I'm just going to say A for Annie. And then down here, it will automatically save it as a draw, but I don't need to save it as a draw. I'm going to save it as a JEF file. These are all options here that I can use. The JEF Plus is for some of our older machines, and it gave some other information in it we don't really need at this moment because our software gives us all of that. JPX gives us a graphic thumbnail with it, so sometimes I'll just save it as a JPX, and then I'll click Save right here. And it's going to save in this alphabet folder, but not in either one of those folders. It would go in here if I had it selected, but I just want to put it in the alphabet folder, and I'm going to save it. So I can pull that up another time and use it from my saved file, or I can even take that to the USB later if I want to. But here's a design here. This one's ready to go, and it is a JEF file as well. I can see I created this once before, and instead of opening my draw file, I opened my JEF because I know it's ready to go. And I just wanted to show you that when you open JEFs, they're going to show as raw. I can't edit this unless I convert to curves, and then I can edit the parts and pieces of this. And you only have to convert the parts you want to change. So now I want to take this and export it. I want to send it to my machine, or I want to send it to a USB and see how that goes. So what I'm going to do is just now I can just use my drop down up here. Here are my choices: cable, wireless, USB. So let me see, I don't have my cable plugged in. I can see if I can get it over here and plug it in. I have to use a USB hub for my cable because I'm on my Mac and it doesn't take the USB end, but that's okay. You can get a USB hub and put things in it there. I have like a four spot hub. Let's see how this goes. We'll see if it works. All right. There we go. I'm just going to say yes. Yes, there, we're fine. All right, go back to my Hippo. All right, so I'm going to try the cable first. So this is the cable, and it's saying connect computer to that. So sometimes some of the spots on my hub, they don't like the connection of the cable. So I'm not going to use the cable, but if you did the cable, it opens a window like this and it would show your folder. And I think I have a picture of that for later. We'll give that a try. So I'm just going to leave that there for now. Let's go up here and see if my Wi-Fi is on. I didn't check yet today to see how that's going. Wireless, there we go. So wirelessly, I can go right to my CM17. I can go right to the ready to sew screen, the built-in drive, or either of the USB sticks that I have in my machine. So this is why I like the drop down. It takes me exactly where I want to go. If this was the cable connection, it would show the built-in and a USB, if that's where I was going. So I could send it there. So if I want to go to my built-in drive, I would click here. And let's see what's happening. Machine is busy. Okay, let's see what's busy about. Oh, I see why it's busy. I have something on the screen. All right. Not really what I wanted. Okay, so let me move this. I think that'll be okay. All right, so let's see what happens now that I just have something. I had something on my ready to sew screen. So I'm going to try my built-in. And it opens my built-in drive. And notice up here on the top, it says EMB. It did open my EMB folder. And I can put it right in here in the EMB folder. I don't have to open my EMBF, and I'm going to show you some information on that later. This EMBF here doesn't mean all of these are in the EMBF. All of these designs right here right now are in my EMB. If I wanted to go up a level and put it on the root of my USB stick, I could do that too. Here's my EMB on the root and my other folders, plus I have designs here. So I could put it right here in there. And I do have a lot of designs on this one, so I'm just going to send it. Again, I could change this down here to a JEF or JPX. I usually leave it at the JPX, and I'm going to send it. So now that'll be on the in my built-in on the outside of my EMB folder. And I'm going to go through a whole USB stick so I can show you exactly where everything is so you'll understand that a lot better. Whoops, I just sent it. Let's do no. Let's cancel. There we go. All right, this last one, this one here, I want to show you something really cool. I'm going to come up here and change my hoop. And this is in the new version, version 2. We have the new fit to hoop. So this is a little JPEG design I brought in and I converted it to stitches. Now I'm going to do fit to hoop, and look how big that is. Isn't that lovely? And it looks great as well. So I would probably, since this is so big, this would be great for applique of the petals up here and the leaves, and maybe some stitching for this portion in here. So that's probably what I would do with that. So this is something I created from scratch. I want to save it. I would go to the save here, and I would save it in my, I'm going to put it in my test folder here, and I'm going to call it a tulip. And I can leave it as a draw file so that every time I open it now to edit it, maybe when I want to turn it to an applique, I can easily do that. I don't have to convert it to curves or anything. So I will save that. So that's, doing different saves in there. Once you save like that, if I make changes, all I have to do is click on my save button up here, and it will it'll save those changes. So you could either go to File, Save As, or you can use the Save on the upper toolbar. Now, when you're exporting, I like to go to the machine and get all these options. But if you're exporting, you can go to File, but instead of going to Save As, which more of us would probably go to, and then we would navigate through here to find our USB stick, right? That, to me, that's a lot of work. If you go to File, go to Export. Look what it gives you in Export. All of these options, even Dropbox, if you wanted to make it an image, make it SVG, quilt file, all of those are located right here. Isn't that interesting? So that's why I try to tell people to think about what you're doing with your file, what you're doing with your design. If you're saving it, if you're putting it into your computer for another day, I would think that would be saving. And if I'm sending it somewhere else or taking it somewhere else outside of my computer, that's exporting. So I could export and have all these options right here. Few more than what's under your machine that's over here, okay? All right, so what I want to do now, before we go to the, let me put the camera back on. I had to move my camera a little bit because where I was having it, the arm of the machine moved on me. All right, I want to put up a little slideshow with some information, and I'm going to hold the slides so that you can read the information on there. And then you can always go back and hold hold the recording at that point to look at that slide. So let me get that up, and I'll move out of the way a little bit because I'm going to keep it on the screen with me. All right, so everybody should be able to see that, right? Let me get over here. All right, let me hold it here so it doesn't go any. Let me go back. Hang on. Whoops. And there, I'm going to hold it right there. Okay. Move that over. All right, so this is a little diagram that I wanted to show you on working with your USB. And if you're looking on the side with the USB right here, this is the root of your USB, okay? This is what's called the root. So on the root of our USB, we will have an EMB folder, and we will have an ORD folder. And then we may have a folder that we make ourselves. You saw that on mine. We can make our own folders. But many of our machines can have a design on the root of the USB as well. So that's what I've posted up here in this little box up here. So these are machines that can use the root of a USB. All right, you don't have to go in to the EMB, the EMBF, and so forth. So that would be like your CM17, your MC 15,000, 14,000, the S9, our new CM1000 and 100E, and the 550, 500, 400, 450 machines as well. Those all can use the root. Now, the thing is, and I'll show you when we get to the screen of the machine what normally happens with people, and that's okay. But when you, the other thing you can do is on this chart I have next to here is the size of the USB stick that you can use with those machines there. And then on the lower part, these machines here, the MC12000, your 9900, your 9850, those must use the EMB, EMBF folder system, okay? They don't have the root option there, so you'll have to do that. If you have an older machine that's not in this list, you'll probably have to use the EMBF, or some of them use, some of our older ones, like the 300, 350E, they use the Design 5 or the My Design folder. So we've come a long way from there. I know we were so trained, EMB, EMBF, EMB, EMBF, but now we have this new option and it frees it up. But we have to remember what we did with our designs when we put it on a USB stick and where is it going? All right, so that's the part I think that gets a little confusing for people. So I'm going to continue on with this little diagram here. So here's the root of my USB. And then in my EMB folder, here's what's in an EMB folder, my EMBF. I have a folder in my EMB folder, and I have a design in my EMB folder. All right, this design is in the root. All this is in the root. This is all in the EMB folder. Now, if I click on my EMBF, I may find a folder I created in there. And then below that is a design. So in my EMBF, I have a design as well. And I probably have designs in that work folder, probably more than likely. And then this is what you're looking for on the screen of your machine, is that up arrow. This takes you up a level. And then there's side to side arrows. Those are for page turns. So sometimes you'll see a page turn arrow or the up arrow. So you have to remember to look a little bit to see what's there. Okay. And so if you're using the machines down here, you will follow the arrows across. You will just follow this way, okay? All right, I'm gonna move to the next slide and stop it there. Okay, so if I was doing a cable transfer, this window would open up. And it opens, and it's hard to see, but that right at the top here, it says EMB, where my little hand is. And it's opened the EMB folder, so you see your EMBF and then all the things that are in that EMB folder. So I can choose to put it in my EMBF if I want to. I have to select it if I want to, or I can just put it right in here. And I could rename it and then click on the send button here. All right, so that would be an option. This comes from the AccuTools edit portion of it, so like Horizon Link Suite and so forth would have that, just to show you that view. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so when you're loading your USB, and this is the view of your PC, not my Mac, this is a view of a PC. So over on the very left, this is my USB stick. I selected just the USB, and in my USB right now, what I can see is a design and my EMB folder. So this is what the root looks like, okay? And there must be something in here. I can see that that's open. And I'm gonna go to my next slide. This I found a little bit easier to show you this way rather than kind of showing the screen of my machine as well. So now I clicked on my EMB and opened it. And in my EMB, there it is. There's our EMBF folder, and there's a design that's in my EMB. And I can tell there's something in there right now because there's a little design hanging out. If your EMB folder is here and it's closed, there's nothing in it. You haven't put anything in there. I could click on it and put something in it, and then you'll find it there. But this is just in the EMB, and there's my EMBF. So they can be right next to each other. And the last one here, I think this might be my last one, shows the EMBF folder open, and there's that design that's in the EMBF folder. So I actually have one in there. And I don't know if I have the last one, if this is the last one. Yep, that's it. So let me go ahead and I'm going to close this. There we go. All right, so sometimes it does sound like clear as mud, okay? And this is what happens. I've taught many classes with USB sticks that I kind of train people how to find things. And people put their USB stick in, and they choose the USB on the machine, and then it opens and they see that eMBF folder and everybody touches it. But if I didn't put it in there, I'm not going to see it, right? Right? And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Where is it? Then you're going to find an arrow. You're going to go up and like, okay, I'm back to this. And you touch it again and it's not there. Or you figure out, oh, there's page turns. Okay, I can page turn and go to another page. Now, the only machine that's really different right now is our CM17 because it opens up and shows you folders and designs right away. Everybody else there, when you put your USB stick in and you choose it on the screen of your machine and it opens your EMB folder and it will show your eMBF folder and it'll show any folder that you have in your EMB and any designs that are in your EMB. Okay, and then you can move from there into your eMBF if you put anything in there. If you don't see anything on your screen, typically and I said that wrong, I think earlier. All the other machines, you'll only see folders first, and then you have to page over to see designs. The CM17 is the only one that shows you designs right away. It'll show you folders, so you can either choose a folder or page over. So kind of be a detective when you're looking at the screen of your machine. You want to look for your side-to-side arrows. Sometimes they're on either side, sometimes they're at the bottom of the screen. You want to look for that up arrow. It's a little bent up arrow. On the 500, 550 series, it's at the bottom. I know on our CM17, it's at the top. I don't know on the S9 where it is, but that's how you can move between the levels of your USB and then the pages of your USB. All right, I think I have a USB in my machine, and I'm going to go and pull that up, and we're going to switch to my camera so I can show you what that looks like, and we'll go from there. All right, let me put that picture on here. Here we go. All right, so I chose my USB stick, and on my CM17, I have two of them, and I chose the first one. This is my built-in, and I'll check there, show you that. So here you can see there's my EMB folder. So this is the root of all of that. And I can, of course, page turn over and see designs. Now, like I said earlier, the CM17 is the only one that has designs on that first page. Yours will only have folders. So let's go to the USB because most people are going to pop in a USB and they're going to choose their USB and then they're going to see this part of it. So I'm going to open my EMB folder. You can see here, these two folders are on the same level as my EMB, and then I have a design that's with my EMB folder. I'm going to open my EMB folder, and then here's my eMBF. Typically, you're going to see this, right? Either a folder or your eMBF folder. With my CM17, I get to see designs. I can back up one. So if this was me and I saw this, and I didn't have these folders, I would be like, oh, I'm just going to touch that. But I might have side-to-side arrows where I could look at things. And I do have something in there. So you have to be a detective. Let me see what my other USB stick has in it. These are my side-to-side arrows. Let's see what's in the EMB. My fun designs. Nope, I don't have that many on here. So you want to look for your side-to-sides. And don't be so quick to pick your eMBF folder. Let's go to, sometimes you'll open it, it'll look just like this. You'll just see eMBF and a folder. You won't see designs. You'll see an arrow here so you can change pages. And if there's no arrows, then more than likely stuff is in your eMBF. Does that make sense? So you want to look for those this is why I like the CM17. And if you have a CM17, you need to update it to 2.0 to get this view. I love that I can see my designs right away. I don't have to keep looking in folders to find them. Okay, so typically what happens is you're at this point and you pick that EMBF without looking for page turn arrows. All right, always look for those page turn arrows. Hopefully this will help you a little more with finding your designs and all of that. Let me go back to the screen here. All right. So if you have questions, please post them below because I really want everyone to understand how this works with a USB stick. And I'm going to go back. I want to show that first screen again. And let's see if I can get it to pause right here. There we go. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. Let's pretend this little horsey is not there. This is the root of my USB. If you have many of these machines from the 15,000 down, when you open your USB stick, it opens that EMBF. So you will, or the EMB, so you will already see this level right here without this design. Okay. And that's where people need to look for their page turns. Page turn arrows show up over here, sometimes over here. So be a detective. Be a detective. Try to look for those side-to-side arrows, and then remember what you did. Because remember when I was showing you the pictures that are at the end of this about where things are on your USB stick when you're in your computer? If you did not click on that EMBF folder in your computer, then you didn't put a design in there. So you don't want to select it in your machine. Okay. When I've done this in classes, I can hear a lot of people boop, boop, boop when I first put it in there, and they're all looking for something in that EMBF, and I don't have anything in it. The other thing I want to talk about is our machines like a FAT32 USB stick. That is within the formatting. When you go to format your USB stick in your computer, you can choose the FAT32. So if you're having trouble with a certain USB stick or USB sticks you purchased, they're not working, format them in your computer. And in your manual near the back pages, it talks about how to format that way. Many of us format in our machine, and either way you format in your machine or in your computer, it will wipe out everything that's on your USB stick. So take a USB stick that, if you have designs on it already, take the designs off of it, format it in your computer, and then you can choose the FAT32, because that's what all our machines like, is the FAT32. We can have larger USB sticks, and I've put that on here in my little chart up there. If you look, the CM17 can take us, and our little MC1100, they can take a 64 gig. When I put 65 on my little thing, it should be 64. I got to go fix that. But anyways, it can take a 64 gig. And then our 15 and 14 can take a 16 gig. The S9 can do a 16 gig. And then the other one can do your 500 and all those can do a 16 gig as well. The ones below that have to have smaller. Now, because, I can put a big USB stick in my machine, what I shouldn't be doing is I shouldn't load it up with all kinds of folders and designs and stuff like that. Well, first of all, if you're going to load a lot of them, use folders, because you're going to have to do a lot of paging to find individual designs, right? So if you put a lot of things on a USB stick, put them on by folder, so you'll be able to search a little bit easier. But you shouldn't really put so many things on a USB stick, because that'll slow you down in the machine trying to find things. So I usually export over the things I need, and I work with those. The other thing you shouldn't do is store your designs on your USB stick if you don't have them backed up somewhere else. Okay, it's fine to have like a USB stick of flowers and one of children's designs and one of Christmas or whatever, but all of those USB sticks need to be saved somewhere else, either on a cloud, a Dropbox, some kind of cloud, other kind of cloud, an external drive. Even your laptop could crash. I've had mine crash a couple times too and lost everything. So you want to have those backups. And these USB sticks are fragile. They don't last. Some people have them for years and they work just fine, but that one time, it doesn't want to work. You've lost everything that's on there if you don't have that backed up somewhere. So make sure you always have them saved. If you want to put a lot on your stick, go ahead, but don't make that your method of where they are saved, okay? That's just your device to take them back and forth. They're saved in a vault somewhere. You want them in the vault, okay? All right, everyone, I'm going to let you go. Please post your questions below. I'd love to answer questions on the USB and help people with that part of it, and get them going. There are times when our USBs just quit on us, and then the next day they work. I have a lot of those Janome ones, those little red Janome ones, and I can take 20 to a class and 6 of them won't work. And the next class, every single one will work. So I don't know. They're not as reliable as some. All right, everyone. All right, have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me here in the studio. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.